how does the ECB's new OMT program differ from previous European Central Bank attitudes toward bond buying?
Well, it differs on several dimensions, but I think the most important dimension is conditionality. In his press conference, Mr. Draghi, the president of the ECB, repeated several times that this is a two-legged affair. The central bank is acting, but governments need to act as well. So he essentially said that the previous program, the SMP, had failed. He admitted that. And his view was that it had failed, I think, for two reasons. One is that governments had not done enough on their part. There had not been a contract, in a sense, between government and central bank. There had been an implicit contract, but he's really looking for an explicit contract. And that's the conditionality coming from the fact that countries would need to subscribe to a EFSF, ESM program with all the conditionality that goes along with it, including obviously the monitoring on the part of the European institutions, possibly together with the IMF. The other key element is that they are not announcing ex ante how far they would go. So they may go very far, or they may even cut the program very quickly for a country if it were not to fulfill conditions. So everything is possible. And they are not announcing, as was the case for the SMP, where they had essentially weekly targets. And I think that very rapidly got exhausted, and the market lost trust of the capacity and the willingness of the central bank to intervene on a sufficient scale. So here there's a bigger scale, but attached to that are the conditions.
What can we expect then for Spanish and Italian economies? Bond markets will certainly have calmed, but do you expect this ECB action to be only a temporary solution to the crisis?
Well, I think in the case of Spain, it's more or less, I think, a foregone conclusion that they will go for a program. In exchange for that program, the ECB will intervene. The spreads will be reduced if there is the credibility on both sides. Credibility of the governments acting, credibility of the ECB acting. I think a big question mark is what's going to happen to Italy. I think Italy would be relieved, obviously, to know that there is this program, and especially if it is successful for Spain, then I think potentially Italy will be able to escape a program. May not be the case in the end, we shall see. So I think a lot will depend on what will happen in the coming weeks, coming months with Spain. It will be the test case. If it's really successful for Spain, I think it may mean that it would be successful on a much broader scale, and maybe even as a preventive manner for a country like Italy.